everyone, and welcome to the All Four Downs podcast featuring four downs, three counts. You can visit the website fourdowns3counts.com for our podcast, not only for college football and the NFL, but also some sports entertainment and professional wrestling with the HHW Show podcast. I want to send a big shout out to Mr. Kirk for wrestling with character. A wonderful performance he had done. Um, Killer Cross was the main attraction, but there were so many former WWE superstars there at the event that happened in Meriden, Connecticut. So once again, big shout out to Wrestling with Character. Also, a big shout out to the Little League football, which had their state championships there in New Britain, Connecticut at Willowbrook Park. Hopefully, everyone had fun. I know the weather is kind of crazy here in the state of Connecticut, but it is what it is, man, because we're in the winter and anything can happen, man, from sunlight to all of a sudden scattered showers and the wind, man. It does seem a little frigid here in the month of November, but we still got plenty of talked about here inside to staying warm with our podcast, the All Four Downs. We're going to start off with first down and week 13. We're entering week 13 of the college football playoff rankings. What the committee is going to say, how are they going to vote? Will there be any significant changes? I know there were some upsets, but how is that going to factor in? Or are we going to see some new teams in the top 12 at least? I got that and much more here, but let's go ahead and stay tuned here to the games I predicted for this weekend. I got two wrong. I mean, it is, I try my best here and there, I guess. Notre Dame victorious over Pittsburgh. That was two ranked opponents, and Notre Dame should skyrocket up, right? Defeating a number 22 Pittsburgh. 37-15 was the final score. Georgia made a lot of noise in the top 10. Georgia was ranked 5, Texas number 10. With the upset of Alabama, I will talk about later, should they be number 4 or higher? Let me see. South Florida, big disappointment in the American Conference. It seems like no matter which team on the American Conference you put at 12 for the seedings, they tend to fail. So South Florida loses to Navy 41-38, despite scoring 22 points in the fourth quarter. It still wasn't enough because South Florida really didn't show that they had any type of defense to stop Navy. And the Navy's run game was spectacular. Their star quarterback was out in the second half, and their backup was just as good, even better, running the ball there. And South Florida just didn't have an answer. Iowa losing to USC. I was wrong on that one. I was looking good in the first half, but USC found a way to shut out Iowa, and they prevailed. So big ups to USC. Kennesaw State over Jacksonville State. And then the one that I got right from the underdogs is not only Oklahoma Sooners. Look, they had the best defense in the SEC. They do. And when you compare Oklahoma with Alabama and the way Alabama was playing, if you listen carefully on my previous episode, Alabama's not consistent in the defense. And they have their ups and downs, but when it comes to a challenging like a defense like Oklahoma, a head coach that's defensive minded, once again, back-to-back years or back-to-back seasons, Oklahoma has defeated Alabama. Uh, so it just comes to show the final score was 23-21. Alabama had a chance. They had the ball last, but they could not produce. So how's that going to look forward to in Tuesday's rankings, which is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? One other note here is that focusing on the American Conference is going to be a little bit, let's say, it could be out an American Conference, whoever's top dog, or could it be someone in the Sun Belt? And I say that for a reason because I think certain teams are sparking up at the right time, and this is the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to second down for our rankings. And these are my predictions, not coexistent with the College Football Playoff Committee, but I foresee that this makes sense. And yes, there should be now at this moment of time to have a 3-loss team in there. So I'll start off with 21-25, James Madison, North Texas, Tulane, Houston, and Tennessee. Now, with that, James Madison's 9-1. The only loss was against Louisville, 28-14, and that was their second game of the season. But is it enough for the College Football Committee to allow James Madison to be in the bracket? I think at this point in time, this is the first time I put James Madison in my top 25. I have him ranked 21, but that's because they're in the American Conference, they're just beating each other up. So I really have North Texas at 22, Tulane at 23. But with those two, I tell you, I believe North Texas has an advantage in the American Conference. And I tell you because they did beat Navy. And right now, Navy's in first place because they're a game ahead, but they've played one more game than anybody else in the conference. And so, with that, a lot of it is going to be delayed because then you have Navy getting ready for Army and the Army Navy game that happens just before the conference championship. Then you got Houston and Tennessee. Tennessee was ranked in the committee. I feel like now is the time that you could add a 3-loss team. And it's fact that Tennessee were average. Then now they got a game over in the SEC. And I don't like teams that are ranked in the top 25 and yet either they're even or they sub 500 in their conference. I don't think that's fair, to be honest with you. But Houston, Tennessee, barely making it for me. We'll move on to 16 and 20. Michigan, Virginia, Vanderbilt, SMU, and Texas. Texas dropped all the way to 20 for me. Getting their third loss. They're not even an SEC playoff picture. They should not be even foreseen in the bracket. I think they're done, and they're just well done. Okay, pretty much. I think it's gonna be a miracle to see something, and their schedule's still hard for the next two games. But I'm interested to see could they bounce back, and could they be, let's say, an upsetter, a spoiler for Texas A&M, which is another team that should have lost this weekend, but we'll get there slowly. SMU looking good. They're in the picture for the ACC should they win out. Vanderbilt had a bye week. They're looking good. Who else? And then Michigan. Now people are start talking about Michigan. Yeah, they barely won, but they always find ways. The way they play their football this season, they always find ways to win. And could it be enough for a preparation for their last game of the season when they go against Ohio State? 11-15, I have Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia Tech, USC, and Miami. Miami looking good. They finally got out. They snap out their losing streak. They're now at number 15. USC, victorious, respectable at 14. Georgia Tech, Alabama, losing to Oklahoma. So I got them at 11 and 12, but I'm just curious to see, will the committee push Oklahoma higher than 11? Who else? I know Miami is already in the top 10. I don't feel like they are deserving to be in the top 10 because they've already lost to SMU. They also lost to Louisville. Those two games I think was very important. And on top of that, Miami's not even in the picture for the ACC championship. I mean, they need a lot of help. I mean, the top teams in the ACC have to crumble. And right now, Georgia Tech clinched the ACC championship game. So it all depends if Virginia wins one more, and then we could see Georgia Tech versus Virginia. Again, Miami's not close to being in this picture. A lot has to happen. So it is what it is on that one. All right, let's move on to third down, and now we're going to head and finish my rankings. And again, I already told you that 13 and 14 is Georgia Tech and USC. Possibly they could still enter into the bracket depending on how the committee we'll look at things here. But I'm gonna start from my top here, and I'm gonna go ahead and say state that Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Georgia are the top four. Now there are some rumbling as to if Ohio State does deserve to be the number one team. Yes, they're the defending champions, but if you look at their schedule, is it really beneficial for Ohio State compared to Indiana or compared to Texas A&M? That that right there, I want to say, like, I got a feeling that the way the season's going, I don't think it's beneficial for Ohio State, and I got a feeling it's gonna be a major upset. I really do. I feel like soon enough, and if it's not now, they'll be sad at their first game in the playoffs. They go ahead and lose, because I don't feel as Ohio State is a team that's ready. They say, "Oh, they're a complete team," but look at the teams that they've played against. Just be mindful of that. Indiana 11-0, Texas A&M undefeated, close to getting defeated, okay, by South Carolina. And when you're down 27 points at the half, you would think you're done already. I mean, South Carolina, all they had to do is run the ball, get first downs, be continuous, and things started falling apart. And yes, Texas A&M passing game is dangerous. They made it known, but I feel as though any other team, the Aggies would not be alive. No, no, no. And therefore, I did switch Indiana and Texas A&M, putting back Indiana at number 2, A&M dropped to number 3 on my part. Georgia 9-1, because they did defeat Texas and it was a ranked opponent. They deserve to beat the number 4 team. All right, numbers 5 through 8. I have Texas Tech, Notre Dame, Oregon, and BYU. Outstanding. Texas Tech looking strong. BYU deserving. Notre Dame made a statement by defeating Pittsburgh that they do belong in the bracket, and understand that those 2 losses was in the first 2 weeks going against top 25 teams. So it is well deserved for Notre Dame to be there. And then there's Oregon, which Oregon and USC have a battle this weekend. Let's go ahead and move on to 9 through 12. And yes, Ole Miss and Utah fills it in. However, with Oklahoma and Alabama 11 and 12, I do believe that both these schools are outside looking in, along with Georgia Tech and USC. There's a lot of combinations there, but if you're going to squeeze in an ACC champion and a Sun Belt conference champion, predicting that it'll come, then therefore you're going to have to add Georgia Tech in the mix and James Madison. I believe James Madison has a stronger percentage of making it to the 12th seed than an American Conference. That's just my opinion. Will the voters put in there? Could they put Navy, or better yet, will they place North Texas at number 12? Either or between James Madison and North Texas, I'll be fine with it. Anybody else, I probably would disagree. So this is my outline here for the top 12. And the matchup's still looking great. I mean, what do we know about James Madison? Could they handle Texas Tech? Ole Miss and BYU will be a great game to watch. Georgia Tech and Notre Dame will be another outstanding one. And Utah and Oregon, yeah, that's gonna be an awesome. If I'm not mistaken, wouldn't that be like a rematch in the Pac-12, right? Because Utah did leave that conference to go to the Big 12. So, but that'd be pretty interesting there. And then to await all 4 teams that are in the bye week, I think this is a great combination. So either or where you have it, this is going to be great. The question is, will these same teams be positioned exactly that same way when the committee announces it on Tuesday? All right, it's 4th down, and it's my closing remarks. And again, this wraps up the edition of All 4 Downs. Now the real question is how will the committee rank these teams? Will they lean on the strength of schedule? Will it be head-to-head wins carrying the most weight? Are they going with the eye test or They could compare how each team handled their toughest schedules or their challenges. No matter which direction they go, you'll know that I'll break everything down right here on All Four Downs. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, follow the show, and stay locked in because the road to college football play is only getting crazier from each week. And please, please, please subscribe. You're listening to the All Four Downs podcast. Myself, Ovi Muniz. Until next time, I'll be tuning in Tuesday to watching the rankings. And of course, I'll be live with my reaction. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the week. God love some football, yeah? Oh, yeah.